Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Distinguished dignitaries, speakers, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to this sessions on supporting the Tex-Eco initiative, shaping the Indian Sustainable Textile Mark. Today discussions brings together leaders from government, industries, organizations, and civil society to exchange perspective on shaping credible, inclusive, and future-ready sustainable benchmark for India textile and apparel sector. Thank you all for joining us, and with that, let us begin. To commence today's session, it's my honor and privilege to invite Dr. Angela, Resident Representative UNDP India, to deliver the welcome and opening remarks and set the stage for today's discussion. Angela, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so pleased and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this important session on supporting the Tex-Eco initiative on shaping India's sustainable textile mark at this very important Bharat Tex 2026. Let me begin by extending a very warm welcome to Ma'am Neelam Shamirao-ji, Secretary, Ministry of Textiles, Government of India, as well as Mr. J.K. Gupta, who's a scientist E and head of the Textile Division at the Bureau of Indian Standards. And of course, all our distinguished panelists who will join us shortly, and all of you here today. Welcome. I would like to recognize and thank the Ministry of Textiles, the Confederation of Indian Textile Industries, RECEIC, FICCI, there are so many acronyms, and of course all our partners who are working alongside UNDP to convene this timely dialogue. It's our shared commitment to build a sustainable, resilient, and globally competitive future for India's textile and apparel sector. Now, why is this so important and an important opportunity for India? Because India's textile and apparel sector is far more than an economic success story. It's a sector that reflects a country's entrepreneurial spirit, the manufacturing strength, and the rich cultural heritage. And as we know, this sector is projected to reach more than 250 billion by 2030. And it already employs 45 million people across India directly and remains one of India's largest sources of manufacturing and employment. We know it already accounts for 9% of India's exports, while MSMEs, who are so important in running this industry, represent 90%, 80% of the industry's production capacity. Now, these are important figures, and they're significant. But it's also vital to recognize the livelihoods that underscore this, and the fact that this is what is driving inclusive growth in India and Viksit Bharat. Also, as one of the largest employers of women in manufacturing, the sector has tremendous opportunity to expand and advance women's economic empowerment. We want to ensure that this transition is sustainable and that it also delivers more inclusive and decent work opportunities. Now, as we look to the future and as we look at India globally, we know that global markets are increasingly valuing sustainability, transparency, and responsible production. And India already has a long-standing strength in terms of natural fibers, decentralized production systems, innovation, and also emerging circular practices. So they have a strong foundation for continued leadership in this area. So this Tex-Eco initiative that was introduced through the Union budget speech in 2026-2027 is an important opportunity to build on these strengths and also to further enhance the sector's competitiveness, resilience, and long-term growth. It also helps to align India's textile industry with international sustainability standards and emerging green markets. So why does this India Sustainable Textile Mark matter? The proposed ISTM, let me go and add a new acronym. The proposed ISTM is a unique opportunity to establish a nationally grounded sustainability benchmark that reflects India's unique production realities while strengthening confidence among domestic and international buyers and markets. If it is developed, as it is being developed through an inclusive, consultative process such as our dialogue today, it has a potential to simplify the sustainability landscape, support responsible production, and also strengthen traceability, transparency, and most importantly, help Indian MSMEs participate more effectively in global value chains. And this is a shared responsibility. Building a sustainable textile sector is indeed a shared responsibility. Government, of course, can provide the enabling environment, but the real transformation happens and depends on the strong partnership between industry, manufacturers, workers, academia, financial institutions, development partners, and of course, civil society. Manufacturers play a very important role by embedding responsible production, improving resource efficiency, and of course, advancing circularity across the value chain. And here UNDP has already been helping to strengthen responsible business practices, human rights due diligence, and sustainable value chains, and responsible sourcing through our existing initiatives such as the Responsible Sourcing Network India initiative, and also our work on business and human rights, because we help to connect global best practice with the domestic scenarios. So this is why, and I'm coming to a close, this is why UNDP is pleased to support the Government of India in this important endeavor. We look forward to working closely with the Ministry of Textiles, the Bureau of Indian Standards, and all of the stakeholders who are represented here, so that we can foster a more inclusive, evidence-based, and collaborative process towards the development of this ISTM. So today's dialogue is an important first step in the journey. We're here to listen, we're here to learn, we're here to gather perspectives from a diverse range of stakeholders, because we would like all this to help shape the principles that will guide the ISTM. I encourage our panelists, who we'll be hearing from shortly, and all the participants to share your practical insights and recommendations, because together we have an opportunity to co-create a sustainable benchmark that is practical, inclusive, and uniquely Indian. One that strengthens the competitiveness of the textile sector and its contribution to sustainable development for generations to come. And I believe that if we get this right, the ISTM can become a trusted benchmark of quality, sustainability, and responsible production that strengthens India's position in an increasingly sustainable, conscious global marketplace. It's now my honor to welcome Mr. J.K. Gupta, scientist, and head of the Textile Division of the Bureau of Indian Standards, to share his perspectives on the Tex-Eco initiative and the journey towards a sustainable ISTM. Thank you for your attention.
Dr. Angelina, Resident Representative UNDP, Shrimati Neelam Shabira Madam Ji, Secretary, Ministry of Textile, Government of India, all the distinct panelists, friends from academia, industry, and from the ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning. It is indeed a very privilege to speak to all of you on this very important occasion on this supporting the Tex-Eco initiative. First of all, madam, I congratulate you for bringing it a very apt actually initiative. It's really a visionary thing. I remember the time Office of Textile Commissioner Mrs. Dhruv Rashi madam was discussing about 2-3 years back. There is a multiplicity of the certification. There are hundreds of the this certification labels, private labels, regulatory requirement on sustainability are existing. And because of this, our MSMEs are basically affected because of this high costs, audit fatigues. And I was going through all these certifications maybe in the last week, and I was finding all of these have almost the same benchmark. They talk about the chemical management, they talk about the water and energy efficiency, they talk about the your social compliances, no forced labor should be used, and other thing. And they always talk about the resource efficiency in the complete supply chain, and they have the common benchmark. And now it became a challenge for, especially from the cost perspective also, madam. And in this direction, that is why this ISTM to be the game changer. Definitely, I am going to create another one, madam, on that. Then only we can develop a equivalence. So the challenge actually for whole of us will be that we develop a ISTM which is really reflecting the issues of India, over especially our MSME, which are about 80% of the total textile force, and which are employing a lot of women. 60 to 7% is the women force for that. And the challenge, madam, in front of all will be how will be able to recognize or have the mutual this acceptance by the maybe this US and all. And so that we should, and then that benchmark should be very simple and very cost effective. These are my two things. And man, on this direction, we have also created a consultative group, ma'am, where all the important academia, industry partners, in the rest, he is the journalist, he is one of the very active member in that, and we are also making a lot of effort, madam. Or in this direction, we have done a good job, especially on the aspect of circularity. Circularity, all of you know, there is a India generate about 7,000 kilotons of the textile waste, and in this 58% is basically the post consumer and 42 is the percent is the pre-consumer waste. And the market size is about 22,000 crore, which has a potential to grow up to 1 lakh crore. And as per a study, if you invest a 1 rupee in this, it will give a return of 230 rupees, even in circularity. And I was going through madam Tex-Eco scheme. Madam is very, well, that is one of the component, a strong component is they will be addressing the circularity. And for that, madam, we are developing a code of practice for segregation, grading, for chemical and mechanical recycling, and it will also address all the sustainability aspect also. So we have already started that work. Apart from that, out of the 1600 standard which the textile division of BIS has already formulated, in 170 standard we have already incorporated an element of sustainability, which include all your natural fiber, jute and coir product, natural dyes. It is one of the, madam, very important intervention. We have developed the standards on all type of natural dyes, starting from the natural indigo, madder, turmeric, lark, garnet, and this work has also been reflected at ISO. We are also taking a lead role at ISO, and they are also adopting those standards. So this will also be a game changer on the natural dyes. And the third important aspect on which we are working is the recycled polyester staple fiber. Madam, India is one of the leading manufacturer of this recycled polyester fiber. Almost 1.7 million tons of this we are reprocessing. This all the PET bottles, they are converted either into a reusable fiber, yarn and fabric. And apart from that, even the polyester strapping. So this is the type of the work which we are doing. Apart from that, a common guideline on the similar to, taking the clue from all the internationally available this certification standards, will also be developing a Indian specific this guideline for the complete textile value chain for cotton and man-made. But unfortunately, even at ISO, because we consider ISO and IEC is the only two international organization who are authorized, where more than 200 countries are the member. Unfortunately, they have also not framed a comprehensive guideline on those aspects. They have done a lot of standard on life cycle assessment, assessment of your greenhouse gases, then the maybe the SR reporting. Or even on SR reporting, we have proposed a committee at ISO, where now there is a SEBI guideline is there for SR reporting, and EU has its own guideline. So we have also a new committee at ISO will be created, where India will be taking a lead role, and in that case, the standardized format for the 9 principles will be then, it will become a easy, because it is a guideline only for the 1000 top companies as per the market capitalization has to report it mandatorily. So we are working on that aspect also. So in that aspect, madam, I will compliment again this ISTM going to be the game changer, and we are ready to collaborate with all of you, and what's of the direction it will be received on a top priority basis, because I have understood in this last week, or maybe I was going through a lot of literature for last maybe 10 days. So the sustainability, you cannot escape from the sustainability. For the market assess, it either you like it or not like it, it is going to be there, and we have to see that, because we have to give the word in a proper way to our next generation to come. So only my appeal to all of you, we are doing a very big task, and I need the support of all of you, and give your frank and fair ideas how we can develop a very cohesive, very simple this framework, and we will be meeting very frequently on that. I think ESG has also done a lot of work. There is a on that. I again appeal. And the second aspect only I will be requesting, then we should work only on the second aspect on the capacity building. So these are the two things I want to flag here, where I need the help and support, and we are always there, madam, to give all those things in a very timely manner. So with this, I complete my this thought process. Thank you very much for the patience. Thank you.
Thank you, Gupta ji, for your for highlighting the importance of this initiative. Now, to share the vision behind the Tex-Eco initiative and India Sustainable Textile Mark, I invite Ms. Neelam Shamirao, Secretary, Ministry of Textile, to deliver the keynote address.
Are we listening to the audience? If they have some questions, then I can respond to it.
We will, but I think we have a panel discussion. In that, we can maybe address the questions. So over to you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, perfect.
So very good morning, Angela. Thank you for such beautiful context setting, and Mr. Gupta for all the work that you are doing. And the audience out here, I mentioned that we should be listening out to all of you. Of course, you will all have the panelists and others speaking on this. When India's unique place, it has a unique place in textiles and in textile waste both. So why would I say that textile waste thing is the kind of industry size we have domestically is quite large. It is almost equivalent to many other countries. Like if you see the world trade of US would be $200 billion. Our industry size is about $190 billion. So if you, because of the demographics and even though our per capita consumption is moderate, we tend to have the large numbers in terms of the output. So sheer summation for such a large demography can throw up numbers which are very, very large. But India also has a great tradition of repair, reuse, recycle, everything, there is this tradition which goes on. Now, till now, that tradition, and in general, that tradition would really play along very long till your material is the same. Material is no more the same. India is also the country of natural fibers. And since our materials were largely natural fibers, the waste and textile waste was very, very limited. Everything was biodegradable. It will pass on from one sibling to another, will get converted into some home usage, into dusters and ponchas, and then will be thrown to the Mother Earth. It wouldn't harm it. So the sustainability was to the core of the entire chain of the usage of the fabric or the textile in India. You wouldn't, if people of my age would remember that we didn't have the landfills throwing up the cloth back to us. If you dig any further in, even in many places now, you would find that there are pieces of fabric which are lying around. So it has now become a problem because there is a shift in the materials with which we are making. So these materials which do not degrade, are there for longer period, need to go through the cycle where they are adaptable, adapted, reused, recycled, get into the circular economy to be able to not getting back to the landfills. Last year, we did a study in India to understand our textile waste value chain. So we mapped the entire value chain, that how much of the product is getting into the value chain is about 0.7 million metric ton. Now that's huge. That's pretty high, considering that almost 40 to 50% of it will be of synthetic construct. So that's something which we really need to look at. But India also has another great tradition of picking up its pre-consumer waste, and then that goes into the recycling very easily. Almost 95% of it gets into our circular economy. What about the post-consumer waste, which is not natural, and what we are doing about it? And there are examples. You see a lot of good work being done in Bangalore by certain agencies. There is some good work done by the TRFs in Mumbai, and many more other municipal bodies are waking up to it, where the material is collected, sorted, and then goes into the recycling system back again. We also see a lot of good work being done in Panipat, where the hub is quite vibrant. We see that they have really evolved over a period of time from in their mechanical recycling. So the textile to textile recycling might be a new concept for many countries. It's pretty embedded in Indian industry cycle. So we are at that front edge of this. So when we were really talking about this and thinking about this, ISTM, it was not so much from the purpose of the circularity and trying to see that we need a sustainability mark for it. The sustainability mark for it, as Angela rightly said, that almost 80% of the MSMEs are the one which are making the garments. And if you look at the entire value chain, it is also the largest employers of women. So any increase in business results into a good wage increase, good incomes for the large number of units which are women oriented. So there is a gender aspect to the businesses that these MSMEs do. It is also terrific for India, which goes on to increase its women participation in the labor force. So if we really look at it, female labor force participation is the highest in textile sector. We have almost 50% women working in our factories. And if you go to the garment factory, you will find them 80%, 90% by the workers are normally women. So what stops them, these MSMEs, to go to the next level to expand in exports? Is this multiplicity of compliances which has been forced upon the manufacturers. It is strange, actually, sometimes, that we keep on talking of ease of doing business, saying that the compliance burden of the government are too much. And on the other side, we keep on bringing more and more compliance burdens from the other side. Why should that be? Why should why we cannot have a common framework? If you realize that if an industry has to deal with 10 sourcing partners or 10 retailers, all 10 of them may not recognize the same agency for audits. They will have their own preferences, they have their own settings, rightly so. So they say, all right, fine, this is the X certification I want, this is the Y certification I want. And it is very, very interesting if you go to a MSME unit, a wall full of certificates can be seen. So that is their wall of fame. And doing that set of audits adds cost to the MSME. So for every certification, if it were to be only one agency, probably you would have paid up for that one single agency and done up with. Certification cost will be almost the same because there will be one minimum benchmark which everybody would have put up. So there is a cost to multiple certifications, and this cost erodes the cost competitiveness of the MSMEs. They will end up making the things more expensive, and therefore it is very difficult for them to actually compete in a larger market. This inhibition, these walls need to be flattened. We cannot possibly think only in terms of the choices and multiplicities of the certifications from the perspective of the sourcers and the retailers, the preferences of them. Can these come into the law of the land? Can there be framework where there is in unison the organizations, the agencies say that all right, we're good with this. And I think UN has a unique role in that. On advocacy side and bringing the people together, bringing the businesses together to really appreciate that this is the implication of their preferential choices. We could possibly start looking at it from the perspective that these marks or additional compliance burdens, while we speak on one side the compliance burdens that the governments or the regulations bring, even through the private channels, we need to really speak about it because that makes things more expensive for the customers. And therefore, there is a need for common framework for the industries to come together and say that this is the one which these are one, two, that is more than good. And this effort is something towards which we feel that we need to really consider how to really come on. We will come back to the questions later. That is why I had asked that people can possibly speak. So probably there is a panel which I know this is what I am provoking, the discussion. So I'm happy I have raised hands in the hall. So with this thought, when we went and we set up the task force at the government level, the ESG task force, was to discuss these issues of environment, sustainability at the forefront. Not the sustainability mark. It was not one of those issues. We were talking of sheer ESG governance, we were talking of circularity, we were talking of recycling, we were thinking that how to really fix up and strengthen our post-consumer waste management. We were looking at the circular economy. We were trying to see that if our industry would really, do a breakthrough on, and I'm glad that they have some of them, on chemical to chemical recycling for colored polyester. And it was an imperative because we also realized that in India the customer preferences, because of the athleisure and the comfort that athleisure brings and similar other garments, is shifting, and the material preferences for the first time reached that 50% natural and synthetic fiber, man-made fiber barrier. Where man-made can be also two types. We all know that there is fiber which is chemically recycled from the natural material, and the one is pure fossil polymer oriented. Within this, when we were working, suddenly this whole construct of the sourcing came into fore. And whenever we say, why don't we make more? Why don't we sell more? India has capacity to sell more, sell outside. You see, there is this something called non-tariff barrier. There is a tariff barrier, well and fine, you fight that tariff barrier through negotiations, and we are glad that the government has and industry is really happy, and yesterday this UK FTA became effective. They are continuously saying that for us the capacity to take in so many compliances, so many audits, makes it difficult and it adds the cost on it. Is a sourcer ready to pay up for that cost, or the retailer ready to pay up for that cost? That becomes the big question. Already there is a barrier of non-LDC country, which some of our competitors don't have. They have preferential tariffs and had preferential tariffs. Now there is of course some equity that has come in with the UK ratifying and making it effective yesterday. But there is certainly the barrier in other countries. EU will become effective in this year, by the end of this year. So that will also really help us a lot. With this barrier, there is a non-tariff barrier, non-tariff requirement. I think there is this something for the MSME businesses. We need to think collectively about it. So with this philosophy, with this thought, that how to bring in more ease of doing business, how to lower the non-tariff barrier for the MSMEs, can we bring a common framework which will be agreed by all partners? So it cannot be unilateral, it cannot be just done by the government without very extensive consultations. So we need to really work on those consultations. We are talking to the client. Now client are two here, or rather three. There is a customer who is the end user. There is a sourcer or the retailer who actually picks up the inventory and foots the bill. And there is the manufacturer, largely the MSMEs. So we are trying to talk to all of them and trying to come up to some consensus, where largely over a period of time, one single certification tends to replace these multiplicity of the bodies. While you have one certification, you can have many auditors, and these auditors could be the third party auditors. There can be also the state auditor, but state would like to regulate from far and say that third party auditor. So once the third party auditor is agreed to by many, then this one single audit is adequate for the entire value chain, or one or two, not more than that. And maybe the wall of fame is not the certification, but the designs and the products that the industry makes, the faces of women it makes happy, those who are working there, and the country maps to which we have further expanded. India is already exporting to more than 100, 30 plus, 50 plus countries. In fact, it is exporting from its, we have such great diversity in our exports. Even the places that we are making at are spread across the country, and we have 548 odd districts that had exported last year textiles and handicrafts. So if with this philosophy of one, what will be elementary will be the consensus building, two is transparency, and three is governance, which is hassle free and trustworthy, and bring in the credibility. So ISTM common framework works on those principles of all these issues. And I really appreciate that UN has come a long way. Then maybe this entire discourse actually looks at the basic challenge which is being faced by the industry and the requirement of the end customer, end user, and tries to map the both and come up to a amicable and very, very happy solution. So I'm glad that our agency, BIS, is our hallmark of the standard setting. It provides us the technical knowledge and understanding. In the last 5 years particularly, they have done a lot of work on the way they revamp the marks. We on our side have a technical body called Textile Committee, governed under the Textile Act, and we are trying to bring these two together to come up with, again, agree to not multiplicity, but one single mark. ISTM, coined by Angela today, is an interesting acronym, and I think that is the way to look at the entire framework. So with this, I open the, I give it back to the anchor for discussion. Thank you so much for being patient.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable insights and thought-provoking perspective. But now we open the floor for some questions. So if, okay, we will take only one question as we are running out of time. So anyone? Yeah.
I think we have a question there.
Yeah, hi ma'am, I'm Naveen Singh. I'm part of the Control Union. It's a global company, and we have been forefront in creating standards for past 100 years. Some of the certifications which you hear, I think they were coined originally by Control Union, GRS, and all those things. I just wanted to put in front of everyone that since I'm part of the global team and I talk to many representatives in Vietnam, Philippines, Europe, everywhere, creating certification was never our intention. When we created GRS, it was a noble cause from Adidas, how to incentivize waste collection. That was the problem statement which came in front of us, and we created GRS as a pilot project. When we created RDS for North Face, it was a noble cause how to ensure animal welfare for the feather. Ironically, whatever clients we have, only 5% are using it effectively, 95% use it. Yeah, so that what we mean to say, ma'am, that the cause which we want to say is that how we are going to commercialize this certification, because it has taken lot of time, energy, efficiency, and creating a mark and not adopting global frameworks and global standards will basically will not succeed basically in global market, because we have seen many experiences where we have worked in many other geographies, marks being created but they are not being able to commercialized in the targeted market. So what is your plan to commercialize them overseas basically?
This is the question actually madam has told. Actually, especially for MSMEs, now you people are all doing it for a commercial cause. Once the BIS is giving 80, well, we are not charging. Government is not to make business. That is why this ISTM is coming. There will not be any cost. I am telling you. Our philosophy is very simple. We are giving a discount of 80% to MSMEs. There is no question of costing. And that is the only reason I am telling you the cost is enormous for MSMEs. I am not against this. What madam is saying, there should be only a single, whatsoever your criteria, let we make a common framework which should be accepted by whole of the globe. You tell me what is the difference between RCS and what is the difference between this GRS? Nothing. They are the same, na. You said your gods, you said the judges. They are unnecessarily creating a multiplicity of the layers. The question here is, it is only to create a non-tariff barriers. That's madam. What the madam was saying is now there should be a single framework and a single audit all over the world. Why you want a brand specific? Now the goal of everybody is same, na. You tell me ki why there is we can develop a word-wise mark, and then there will not be like the textile committee or BIS will do it. Will not be charging anything. Will be charging only the cost. This is the biggest issue. So that is the only reason ki we want a common framework all of the world, and ISO is the only international agency. If it is developed at that forum, then it has to be actually applicable to all of the world. So then we should take this exercise there, and everybody should be aligned to this, provide their inputs, make a comprehensive one. Then what is the problem? We are not again. This is everybody is coming. Lot of private labels. You.
Yeah, just want to add to what you're saying, sir, but when you look at labels like ZTHC is there, if FTM is there, they have common parameters when it comes to water measurement, which has to be consolidated. Like ZTHC, MRL, they're working with other organizations to find a common ground. But the issue comes because there is no pass or fail element here, right? Some certifications accept a point that we just need a score and it's fine that you've gone through the process. Some have it's passed, it's not, or it's failed, that kind of thing, right? So, what's your plan there in terms of...
It is very easy. You have to do a grading. It's very simple. You have a MRSL limit. We have to find a solution. Now the question is here, the multiple certification. Your ex-buyer is asking, I want this limits. And maybe our MSMEs, maybe few of them can meet it. Okay, we'll make a standard where it has a grade. Like in this grading is very common. You will feel all the steel, there is a grade 510, there is a grade 400. So different grade will be there. Only one common standard worldwide, one common certification. This should be the philosophy. It's very simple. You have to find the ways and means. You can create lot of your LEVs. No, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming anybody.
Hello, sorry, I would like to intervene here. So we have a very interesting panel after this. We have brought voices from industry, from finance team, MSME, and informal workers. So I'm sure we'll, deep dive into all the concepts and interesting notes that's laid by Madam and the panels here. So I would request your patience because there is next session at 11:30.
While the only thing which is very important in this entire process is the process of, as I said, keep the fundamental at the core is reduce the compliance burden, number one. Number two, consult all the stakeholders extensively and come up with the standards in a very transparent manner. Fourth, the regulation should be simple, easy, and transparent. Those are the core fundamental pillars with which the ISTM framework, and as we said, we are very really happy and appreciate that UN has agreed to come along because this has a universal purpose. And it's not only that the Indian MSMEs, but also the world around the MSMEs would benefit from it. So let's give the voices, and when we say the government regulations need to be uh, very simple so the businesses can thrive, same goes for other regulations. So the simplification is the fundamental key of the entire process, and the journeys that everybody has made are very useful and valuable to us, because that is from where we are going to start and learn. That this is the requirement. Requirement is going to come from that journey and not from elsewhere. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the insightful discussion. We now move to our panel discussion. So the panel discussion brings distinguished voices from the industry, civil society, and sustainable ecosystem to explore an important question. That's shaping the mark. What should the ISTM get right? To moderate this discussion, I would like to invite Ms. Pratibha Sharma, Project Specialist, Circular Economy, Chemical Waste Management, UNDP India. Yeah. Pratibha, may I request you to please come forward? Yeah, okay. So I may also invite the panelist, Ms. Chandrima Chatterjee, Secretary General, Confederation of India Textile Industry, Dr. Naresh Tyagi, Chief Sustainable Officer, Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail Limited, and Chair, RECEIC, Working Group on Textile and Apparel Sector, Ms. Nalini Shekhar, Director of Finance and Special Project, Hasirudala, and Mr. Venkat Kotamaraju, Partner and Director, Global Head, Circular Economy and Climate Solution, IntelliCap. We may welcome them with a warm round of applause. Over to you, Pratibha.
Great. Thank you, Sonali. And good morning, everyone. I know we are running extremely late, but we had a very interesting conversation. A lot of context on what we are going to discuss next on ISTM has already been put forward by a very compelling delegates before this. But we thought, taking the ISTM conversation ahead from the principles that we heard in the morning to actually how it would mean and what it would mean for the practitioners, we have brought together this panel today representing industry, brand, informal waste workers' voice, as well as organizations who are working towards financing MSME and providing technical support. So towards this, we will quickly move to a first round of questions, which will largely talk about the fundamentals of it. And Venkat, if I may put you on spot and start with you, if you could help us understand what should be the key design principles of ISTM. I know Ms. Rao, Secretary Madam, has spoken a lot about it, but if you would like to add your bits through there.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you for having us. I know you've been hearing from this side, so I'm going to ask a question to the audience. Do you think certification or auditing or compliance, is it an activity? Is it a means to an end, or is it an end by itself? Quick answer. So how many